Jackson's post-divorce love life is a messy roller coaster, and I get the sense that he never truly moved on from April, no matter how many relationships he tried to start. Take Maggie, for example. He told her he loved her, but come on, I don't buy it. It felt more like he was trying to convince himself he could love someone else, but his heart was still stuck on April. Honestly, I think Jackson dated around and hooked up with people like Maggie and Vic just to try to numb the pain and get over April. And let's talk about how April handled it. She was holding on to the hope that she and Jackson would get back together after their time in Montana. But when she saw Jackson move on, she realized she had to do the same. Which, honestly, felt pretty out of character for Jackson, not wanting to talk about their hookup in Montana. It almost seemed like the writers were trying to convince us that Jackson had completely moved on, but I think deep down he was still stuck. I do believe he cared about Maggie, Vic, and Joe, but I don't think he was truly in love with any of them. He was probably just trying to find a version of April in each of them. Maggie had a lot of awkwardness with men, and they clashed over a lot of the same things he did with April: money, religion, upbringing. Vic was a first responder, like Matthew, who he had a history with. And Joe? She started off as a FWB situation, which, hello, was kind of how things started with April too. But honestly, Jackson and April were always meant to be. Their love was one of those rare, deep connections that you can't just replace with other people. Life isn't perfect, and they were never smooth sailing. They grew apart, but somehow always found their way back to each other. That kind of love is magical. Sure, Jackson tried to move on, but it was never as deep or connected as what he had with April. Sometimes life makes you take a step back, and that's when you realize what you had. In the end, Jackson wasn't doing anything wrong trying to move on. It's part of the process, and honestly, it's hard to move forward when you haven't fully healed. Just as long as he didn't let it turn toxic for others, he was on the right track. Oh, look, residents from general surgery doing neurosurgery. Because, of course, that makes perfect sense, right? Interns slicing into brains like it's just another day at the office. Totally normal. It's almost laughable watching them try to handle anything above the neck. But hey, it's not like anyone actually went into neurosurgery. Guess that's because anyone who tried either quit, met a tragic end, or just got really lucky the plot didn't kill them off. Honestly, if you took out all the absurd storylines, the LVAD wire disaster, the bomb patient, the ghost sex hallucinations, the intern performing surgery in an elevator, and the endless on-call room hookups, this show would have fizzled out by season 6. But hey, it's TV. In that world, sure, residents can perform brain surgery. It's practically expected. Oh, Alex crying after Lou attacks Meredith. Every single time. It hits me right in the feels. Season 12, Episode 9. For anyone who's not already emotionally wrecked. He might have the outer vibe of a little bit of an evil spawn, but on the inside, this man is all heart. He cares so much about his persons and his patients, and it's obvious in the way he reacts while they're working on Meredith in the trauma room. I'm not even joking. Those shots of his face as they try to save her? Instant tears, every time. I've always had a soft spot for Alex and Christina's emotional moments, because seeing either of them cry just cuts me to the core. And this episode, pure emotional devastation. But honestly, it was so well done. But what really hit me was Alex's reaction. Man, his pain was so raw. The face crumple, the tears, the moment he shouted, "Everyone in this damn room is her family." Alex was incredible in this episode. Honestly, this is the episode that cemented it for me. Alex and Meredith should absolutely be together. Even though the show seemed desperate to keep a male/female friendship from turning romantic. This was a moment that made it clear there was no one else Alex loved like he loved Meredith. He never empathized with any of his partner's pain the way he did with her. If it had been Joe in that hospital bed, Alex would have been a mess, obsessing over how her situation affected him, pushing her away because it was too much. When Ezzy was in the hospital bed, he screamed at her, lashed out, and even threatened to smother her. But Meredith, she was the one Alex loved in a way that wasn't about him, it was about her. That hurt he felt for her, that was real love. If April had stayed the second time around, I honestly think the outcome would have been the same. Divorce, just under a different set of circumstances. The way things went down, Jackson resented her for leaving, and I don't blame him. I actually think that if Jackson hadn't thrown around the whole divorce threat, there was a chance she might have stayed for him. What he needed was his wife to grieve with him, but for April, Jordan became this escape, this way to avoid dealing with her own issues. Jackson wanted to feel the loss. April just wanted to run from it. Had she stayed, it would have forced her to confront the fact that neither of them was really processing what was happening. Jackson wasn't okay, and I think that realization would have made April feel guilty or resentful. They'd still fight, no question. Even if she tried to stay married, Jackson probably would have still suggested a divorce. It's sad, but I think the divorce was inevitable. April leaving only delayed the inevitable. I do think they could have worked things out if they knew how to help each other, but they didn't. April started finding Jackson a little too much at times, like when he didn't want to have sex, and she felt like he was treating her like she was made of glass. Meanwhile, Jackson had his own emotional wall up. He wasn't one to talk about his feelings, so he'd probably just keep pretending he was fine when he clearly wasn't. Maybe it would have been different if the writers had given April another way to grieve that didn't involve Jordan. Like if she'd gotten involved with something like helping the homeless, or started working somewhere else, like Pac North, where she could have channeled her grief into helping others. Or if they just let them grieve together from the start and figured out what worked for both of them. But as it stands, the way they were written, it's hard to see how they could have made it work long-term. Oh, the classic Grey's Anatomy dilemma. How long can you stick with the show before it just becomes a blur of drama, chaos, and never-ending hospital shenanigans? If you're at season 11, episode 10, and the show is mostly background noise for you now, it's probably a sign that you're nearing the end of your Grey's journey. Let's be real, after the plane crash, things never really hit the same high again, and by the time the characters are being flanderized into caricatures of themselves, it's like watching a soap opera where the heart's been ripped out and replaced with predictable storylines. If you're missing George, same, honestly, you're not alone. The magic of those early seasons really was about the characters and their growth. But by season 11, the whole thing feels more like a telenovela on fast forward. And as much as April and Arizona get their moments in the later seasons, if you're not invested in their storylines, it's just more of the same. Personally, I'd suggest calling it quits around season 10 when Christina leaves. That's where a lot of fans feel the show takes a hard turn. If you're really not feeling April's pregnancy drama with Jackson, same, honestly, it's probably time to let go and preserve some of the good memories before the show drags you through endless plot twists that start to feel less Grey's and more like a soap opera parody. Tried giving this show a third chance, season 19, and shocker, Maggie, Owen, Bailey, Catherine, and Teddy are still the absolute worst. Special shout out to Stephanie, because why not add her to the list of no one cares? These characters are like a masterclass in everything wrong with healthcare and patient care. They're incompetent, selfish, whiny, and completely clueless about the basic practices and rules they should have mastered by now. But hey, they're so confident, nothing like a little ignorance mixed with arrogance. They're so headstrong and self-centered. It's a miracle they can even see outside their own egos, let alone their own families. And don't get me started on their judgmental attitude toward anyone with a lower pay grade or different social status. Can't believe I'm once again giving up on the show before the final. Lesson learned, never again. Oh, and Bailey? She's been the queen of belittling her staff for ages. I mean, why not bark at interns for her phone going off while acting like she's the busiest woman alive just because she's a wife and mom? Classic Bailey move, especially since she's been an absolute nightmare to Meredith for, I don't even know, existing. And let's not forget how she dumped her adopted daughter onto interns who were already drowning in their own workloads while Bailey worked part-time. Yeah, super professional. But hey, it's a medical drama, right? Guess that's the point. And for the second time around, I'm starting to think it's physically impossible to hate Maggie and Owen more than I already do. Also, let's not forget the joy that is Callie in the later seasons, because clearly, that's the cherry on top of this nightmare. So I knew it was coming, right? I had the whole thing spoiled for me. Derek Shepherd's death. I knew exactly when it was going to happen, so why the heck am I sitting here, a sobbing mess like a first-time watcher? It's like I knew it, but also didn't know it. There's a difference between hearing about something and feeling it, I guess. I mean, sure, I cried buckets, but not in the way I thought I would. Derek's death? I didn't cry. I just stared at the screen like, yeah, okay, I saw that coming. But then Mark's death? Oh no, I was absolutely unhinged. That one wrecked me. This whole thing reminds me of the time everyone warned me about This Is Us and how I was supposed to prepare for Jack's death because, my dad died of a heart attack I had to witness. Apparently, people thought it was going to trigger me or something. But when I found out how Jack died, I was just like, okay, that sucks. 0 tears. None. Zip. But spoiler alert, the real kicker for me was everyone else's reactions to the deaths. That's what hits you, the other characters and their grief. Like, yeah, a character's death is sad, but it's the way everyone else falls apart that gets you every time. So yeah, I totally get it now. A million times more wrecked by other people's feelings than by the actual loss. Go figure. Okay, let's just pause and take a moment to process this. Alex Karev cut off Arizona's leg. Yeah, that makes total sense, right? Alex works in PEDS, but somehow he's the one who's called in for this? Sure, some pediatric surgeons occasionally get thrown into adult cases, but come on. It's like saying a baker should handle the catering for a 5-star restaurant just because they can make a decent loaf of bread. But wait, there's more. Most surgeons, like Meredith, are trained in general surgery first. So Alex technically could step in and handle an adult surgery if needed. Sort of like when Arizona ends up with an adult patient, because it's a let's throw everything we've got at this situation kind of day. I think this might have been that episode where Arizona wants Richard to play her sidekick for some high-stakes procedure. And if we're going down that road, let's not forget Burke, who was totally the go-to guy for random things outside his specialty, like running intern appointments, doing a Whipple on Liz Fallon, or handling Ellis's needle biopsy. It's like everyone just has a backup plan for random surgery tasks, regardless of the specialty. So maybe the explanation is simple. Alex was there when Arizona crashed, and there was literally no one else. Maybe Callie trusted him, though who knows why she would with all the available options. Alright, so let me just spill some thoughts here while I'm watching Season 7, Episode 5. Can I just say, Christina Yang, she's everything. I've been rooting for her from the start, and honestly, it hurts to watch her go through everything. She's this tough as nails. I don't care powerhouse on the outside, but deep down, she cares so much. She's got a heart of gold hiding under all that sarcasm and drama. And I really don't think she should be married to Owen. I mean, can we talk about him? I'm not sold on him at all. Maybe it's just me, but I'm convinced he's still in love with Teddy, who, by the way, I kind of despise, but also kind of don't. It's confusing, okay? Christina deserves so much better than him. She should just dump him and watch her own love story unfold, one where she knows she's worthy and can thrive without him. She's a total genius on her own. Honestly, I can see her becoming an even bigger force in the show, and I'm here for it. But God, the thought of anything bad happening to Christina, like death or her leaving the show, don't even. That would shatter me. I'm still not over George and Izzy, so if anything happens to Christina, I'll need a serious emotional recovery period. I'll be done, straight up. Also, I've been seeing a ton of Bailey hate on Reddit, and honestly, I don't get it. I love her. She's been through so much, losing people she cares about, the trauma from the shooting, and still standing strong. I don't know how anyone can appreciate her. She's a beast of a character, and I hope both she and Christina make it through this mess. Because if they don't, yeah, I might just quit watching the show. Totally kidding, but still, please, don't do that to me. Arizona's sympathy for Minnick after the 9-year-old died on the table was infuriating. I really think Minnick's arrogance is what caused the kid's death. Arizona literally warned her that it wasn't a good idea. This was a child, for crying out loud. But Minnick just had to do it her way, of course. I'm not a fan of Minnick. She's so smug and arrogant. It's like she believes she knows better than everyone, even when she doesn't. Honestly, I wanted them to track the complications and deaths during her program just to see how successful it really was. And don't even get me started on her acting. It wasn't just the character. The actress had this weird smiling while talking thing that drove me crazy. It's one of a million reasons why season 13 was the absolute worst, only to be topped by season 17, aka the COVID season.